That's my favorite region in Germany, Bavaria. Like the
Yeah,
food, the beer, everything. The people are nice.
yeah. Fun fact: I was like sober for 8 years, so I didn't drink any like beer or anything like. But it was like cheaper than water, like they
Oh
said,
yeah.
and that was wild
And the
because
vending
like,
machines, you can get the
yeah,
beer
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
don't you need water to make beer? Like
Yeah.
how? Welcome to Consequences of Our Culture podcast. This week we have a special episode. We have two special individuals that's going to talk about their creation, Project Pizza. I'm Randall, and today we have two distinguished guests that are adventurers, entrepreneurs, givers, and also creators, craftsmen of the perfect pies. Let's give it up for owners Isaiah and Colleen. I apologize for that. So, starting off, I like to go a little bit back. So, first of all, thank you for your service. Oh, I'm not.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those things that when people say I don't know how to respond, I just like, oh okay.
Okay. Okay. And you were airborne, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You was in the 82nd?
No, I was in the 75th Ranger Regiment, 7th Special Forces Group, the 173rd in Italy.
What battalion of 75th?
I was in headquarters. I did some
Okay.
time with 2nd Battalion too. But,
I was in 1st Bat.
oh, nice.
Yeah. No, small world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm not sure, but are you originally from Chicago?
I'm from the Chicago suburbs.
Chicago
Yep.
suburbs. Okay.
Yeah, like the northwest suburbs.
Okay. And so you did 13 years in the military. You were executive chef for a restaurant group in DC area, for Alexandria Public School. I'm sorry, all
Yeah,
these
you
names
good.
are different
Yeah,
to me.
that's
I'm
it.
not from DC, but and a personal chef in down in Denver, right?
Yeah, from Denver and DC and some time in the military.
Okay. And you have a lot of background in human resources and marketing.
Sorta, yeah.
So you guys were pretty established in your respective fields. What made you guys decide to jump into this project?
Wow.
That's
Well,
you.
originally, Project Pizza started off as a idea that was pitched to a former employer as a way to raise money for school gardens. It's a passion of mine. And when things didn't work out with the employer, the idea came with, and shortly after that, we came together and made it our full-time thing.
Oh, okay. Do you feel like you guys' past made you guys the perfect for this,
Oh yeah,
endeavor?
definitely. I have a very wide berth of experience when it comes in the culinary industry. Everything from Michelin star restaurants to your quick service pizza spots. Well, not totally quick service, but your casual pizza spots. And I had and it's not just like an professional experience thing. I went to school, got my 4-year degree in food service management, and then later got my master's in sustainable food systems. And my professional and academic experiences kind of fed into what Project Pizza has become.
Okay. No, that's pretty interesting. Um, were there any fears or hesitation jumping in?
Oh yeah, every day.
Still is.
Yeah, there's two big fears. One is that the bus isn't going to start.
Which happens often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 1991 old school bus. And then the second thing is, like, when it comes to our interactions, Colleen and I are very different. I'm very like, I'll burn a bridge because I can swim. And
Okay.
Colleen is
I
like,
never heard that. That's pretty good. That's
like I don't want to live my life in like, because I get really bad anxiety if something happens and I don't respond in the way I want to respond in the moment. If somebody comes up and says something stupid to me, like, you know, if you mess around, you'll find out. Like, I'm the find out person. Like, if you're gonna walk up and I'm hot and sweaty and you're gonna like put your hand in like a food in front of me, I want to call you out. I might even smack your hand.
Yeah.
But Colleen would be like, no, relax.
She's the more patient.
She'll handle it.
I definitely have more patience for people,
And
I should say.
And I feel some life is too short to be patient with idiots.
It's true too.
And I think that sometimes when you give that grace, it becomes an expectation for them to continue that behavior.
Yeah.
And I don't.
No, I get that.
I almost don't want to. For the next food truck, I would hate for somebody to do something they did with us that could have been corrected once.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned like having a hard time with the bus starting up. What made you guys decide to like turn a school bus into like a wood-fired oven? You know.
Well, it's part of the theme. We have a nonprofit that is funded by the bus, and the nonprofit is called Food Lit Foundation. Lit as in literacy, food literacy. We fund that, and that nonprofit gives funds to schools and other nonprofit organizations to raise money for learning gardens. Schools being the main focus, so a school bus fit the model, the brand, the best.
And it has become our identity as far as the food truck goes, where, you know, there's been a couple of times where we've just had it with the bus not starting and we're like, screw it, we're going to just go get something that actually works. But people know us as the school bus pizza.
Yeah. How many times has the bus not started?
Oh, easily like,
Maybe.
I'd say over 20 times.
No, I'd say
wow.
maybe 10.
Oh, no.
10 critical times where it was like, oh my God, like this bus is not starting and we really, really needed to start.
Yeah, that's true. Because there's been other times where it just won't start and we aren't necessarily going somewhere. But yeah, the times where it's like, we know we're going to have a really good day at this location and it doesn't start.
Okay. I'm sorry to sidetrack, but you do look a little familiar.
You do look real familiar, yeah.
You were at Benning, right?
Yeah.
When did you get out?
I got on 2014.
2014.
I was in Benning from 2002 to 2004 or 5.
Right. I went to RAS. I want to say I started November 2013 and I graduated February 2014.
I never stepped foot on Benning after, like, I may have went once in like 2009 or 10.
Oh yeah.
But I never went back.
I get that. Nah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, I have a daughter who actually lives in Columbus now.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
My dad used to work on Benning for like a short period of time, working on the case. I'm sorry. Sidetrack. You just look familiar. Oh, so you said you did special. So you was a 11 Bravo?
No, I was a 96 Delta, which became a 35 Golf.
35 Golf. So you did Intel?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I said, thank you for your service again. Just, I forgot I said it. Okay. So I noticed you have a passion for education, educating the youth about like how food's like made and, you know, distributed. And like you guys sponsor gardens at schools?
Yeah.
That's the foundation.
Yeah, Food Lit Foundation. We there's actually the Pooter Global Academy. They got our first grant. Basically, they have a learning garden. They hit us up saying this is what we're doing, and the funds would help. So part of it, not only do we give funds, we actually throw a pizza party for them as well. So we came out there, brought the bus out, slanged about 50, 60 pizzas, and kept it moving.
Okay. So what, for the people that don't know, and I'm one of them, what is a pizzola? A pizza? I don't know.
Pizziola, it's the official title for a pizza maker.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys didn't make that up. That's always been that's always been a thing. Okay.
Whereas like in Europe, a pizziola is like a serious profession. It's like saying chef, but highly specialized.
Okay.
And when people are when it comes to food in Europe, you're not like oh, I'm gonna do this to make some money for college or for a while. It becomes your life. Like you retire as a pizziola.
Wow. So I guess that's a badge of honor. Okay. So you guys, for your pizzas, you guys source local, correct?
Yeah, somewhat.
Okay. Why was that a important thing for you guys?
Well, for us, we like to keep money in our local economies. That's how like schools are funded, roads are funded. So, like, any system that's going to thrive requires money to be recycled into that community, versus like other communities where they don't have as nice things, is because all their money goes out of the community.
That's true.
So we support our local farmers, ranchers, and maybe one day fishermen when we live by some water.
Okay. So what's the reasoning that you guys... So the food truck versus like the brick and mortar, like, what was your decision on that? Like, why'd you pick
Cost
cost?
and availability. Like if we could just pick any spot and have the money, we would have never done a food truck. Yeah. And it's something we're always looking for, the right space to build it, and then hopefully the capital lines up.
Okay. What challenges do you feel like there are with catering versus a brick and mortar?
Accessibility, as far as like getting to people. We get inquiries all the time. People like, hey, can you do our wedding up in the mountains? And we've done a few, and a little sketchy with the bus, but it's worked off in the end.
Is it 4-wheel drive? It's probably not.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
I think it's
a little sketchy.
4-wheel drive, yeah. But as heavy as that bus is, it hasn't been
does.
an issue in
It does well.
any type of terrain.
I'd say the difference of just opening your doors, or what I imagine it's like, and we've both worked in restaurants before, but opening your doors and people just show up, where we go park at other businesses, so people still come, and like they'll just go right into a brewery and walk past us, without stopping for pizza. So it's still a gamble.
Okay. And backtrack. Oh, you guys started in August 2021?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. In the middle of COVID? Was it in the middle of COVID?
Isn't COVID still going?
It is. It wasn't like the thick of it, but the tail end of the thick of it, maybe.
Yeah.
What was the biggest hurdle that you guys had to deal with so far?
Getting started.
That's just.
I think.
I would say the bus. Originally, it started. The health department was a huge hassle.
How so?
Like this, they like drag their feet. It's not like they're done. Like online, it says it takes 48 hours to get an inspection. It took us 6 weeks.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
wow.
quite a bit of misinformation, really, for people who are starting off. Like, you don't know the ins and outs, and you just rely on what you're actually reading, and it's untrue.
It just takes a long time for them to respond, which doesn't make any sense.
And then actually getting people to commit to having you at their place, like breweries or farmers markets or whatever, you don't have a reputation because you're just starting out.
Right.
So thanks to Native Hill Farm and Stodgy Brewing, we actually got our name out there because they're the two people that took a chance on us.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So you guys both worked in restaurant. You used to work at a brewing spot,
I did,
correct?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you worked in the same district as T.C. Williams from Remember the Titans, correct?
Yeah. My office was in that building. They
Really?
renamed that school.
They renamed it?
To Alexandria High School because
It's the only high school in the district, right?
Yes, it is. It's also the biggest high school in Virginia. That's huge.
Yeah, I think I read that. It's like 4,200 or something like that.
Yeah, T.C. Williams, he was a superintendent who was known for making hardcore racist remarks, segregationist. So while I was there, they actually voted to rename it.
Okay. So back to Project Pizza. Is there anything, any regrets or anything you would do differently than?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I would have got a different bus.
Oh, that's it.
That was literally it. I would have taken my time and found something else that was a little more conducive to the direction we're going.
Okay. Is the pizza market here pretty competitive?
No,
Oh, no?
not at all.
Not at all?
No.
Oh, okay. I would have thought so. I see. Well, just from my experience, there's a lot more pizza places here than where I'm from originally. So,
Where you from originally?
me, Alabama, Montgomery.
All right.
Yep. Civil rights movement. Yep. We are going to take a short break. We will reconvene shortly. All right, we are back with Project Pizza. And I believe I was going to ask you guys, what brought you up this way?
You can go first.
I was working for the school system. I left a position out there. Then I started setting my sights on, working for somewhere else. And I saw that a notable brewery that was hiring out in Denver to open a new restaurant. I applied, flew off an interview, did a little tasting. They offered me a position. And then boom, it's back in Denver. And from there is where I worked at the opening their restaurant before I decided to peel off and do my own thing.
Okay. And you?
Well, yeah, I've been in Colorado for about 10 years now, but a previous job brought me out this way. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Work brought me out here too. So that's something we all have in common. You missed the DC area?
Yes, I did.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't miss it.
Yeah,
It's a lot of traffic.
Oh yeah,
There's
that's
so much
the
traffic.
key is like know what you're getting into. Being in food and beverage, my hours are not like 9 to 5. So if I'm going to and from work, I'm already going to miss 90% of the traffic. Whether I'm working a 10 to 7, a 5 to 1, or a 2 to midnight, the traffic just doesn't come up like that.
Okay. And the position you moved out here for, is that where you guys met?
Yes. It was for Odell Brewing Company, where I was
okay.
the head chef down in their Sloan's Lake restaurant. And Colleen was working.
HR.
Okay. And you guys just said, I'm out. I'm doing my own thing. I feel that.
There's a lot more.
There's a little bit more
to it. Yeah. The direction that restaurant was taking wasn't really one that I could get behind. Okay. Example, tipping. We don't accept tips on the truck, and when we go out, we don't tip. This is kind of like one of those societal norms that make the industry worse and something we don't really support. That being said, we don't exactly go out that often either to be noticed for that. But when we do go out, it's something that doesn't even. It's one of those things that get my blood pumping, like how bad it is. So back to, I was working the restaurant. Me and the assistant manager were talking about tipping. I didn't express to him how I felt about it, but he came across his mouth. He was like, "Yo, I wish I knew every time somebody came in there if they were going to tip or not." And I was like, "For what reason?" And he was like, "Well, I was like, "No, what? Say it." And then he wouldn't say it. He wanted to say he would treat them differently or have them have a worse experience. And we were even talking about, before that, we were talking about how certain ethnic groups go out and they don't tip. And we were talking about a situation I had told him about. And he was like, and he wouldn't say it. So I brought it up to the general manager. I was like, "Hey, like, this is how your assistant manager feels." And this is after I bounced even bringing it up to anybody. I brought it to somebody in HR, and they were like, "Hey, talk to the person in charge, let them know how their team operates, and let them handle it." I was like, "All right." Brought it to the general manager. This person was like, "Well, that's the industry. If we know you're coming and you're not going to tip, like, that's just how it is." And like, she wouldn't say that she would straight out discriminate on people.
Right.
But that's what I got. Yeah. And to me, that was the first sign that like, this is not the progressive, forward thinking place that I should be. And to rewind, when I was in DC, I want to tell this quick story.
Tell a long story. Go ahead.
All right. So I was telling, there was a new restaurant that the DC restaurant group, I think they were called Eat Well or something like that. Mm-hmm. Eat Well DC.
Edible?
No, it's Eat Well.
Oh, okay.
And they're opening a restaurant in Maryland, actually down the street from where my mom lived. Okay. And I had been to this place that they had bought and they were revamping. So they asked all the head executive chefs for all the restaurants to come in and help with the training and stuff like that. And during one of the training days, I'm sitting with all the servers. It's like 20 of them because it's a big space. And they were all complaining. They were like, man, yesterday we had this Indian family come in and they had the bill was like $1,200 and they didn't tip. And they were talking about how messed up it was. And I was like, what was messed up about it? They're like, well, they didn't tip, so we didn't get paid. I'm like, you not getting paid is not on the customer. Right. Like guys all need to come together and be like, hey, we want to make sure we get paid for the work we're doing to the employer. So they all went to the employer, his name's David, and went and was like, hey, we need to get paid or something like that, like for what we're doing. And his name wasn't David. Doesn't matter what his name was. Anyway, they went to him and were like, fine. And he fired half of them.
Wow.
And gave the other half a big pay raise.
Yeah, that's wild.
And then he came to me and was like, hey, they told me you told him to do that. Like, don't ever do that in this company again. And I was like, do what? He was like, ask them to get them together to come against me. And I was like, no, I didn't tell them to go against you. I told them to go to you to ensure they're paid for their work. And he was just like, he dismissed it and we never talked. And shortly later, I was let go from that position. And it's one of those things you can see a mile away. But it was just one of those, like, these social norms in the restaurant industry drive me crazy. And I know that we will never, like, fully back a company that falls along those lines.
Right.
And we will never be that company that does that.
Yeah. Because when people initially go against the grain, there's always pushback.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Even if it's right or wrong, there's always people like against that. You go ahead.
I was just thinking of, because you posted in the one Facebook group about not tipping, and to your point, he was commenting on a post that someone did on Facebook about tipping and was like, here's the reasons that we don't tip, and we also don't accept tips with Project Pizza. And he literally got people saying that they wished he would die of cancer, that our business would fail. Deep. It was it was hurtful.
Because people, just like a lot of things in society, people have been like brainwashed. And whenever they hear something different, like they don't consider it, they don't question it. They just like, no, it's that's wrong. This is wrong. Mm-hmm. My first wife, I was a cook in a few restaurants, not to like the extent that you were, but I was a cook, and my first wife was a waitress, and it was crazy because like we would both work like hard. We probably worked the same. She would honestly probably work harder than I did, right? Mm-hmm. And she would get paid less. Like I believe it was like $2.13 an hour plus tips, and a lot of her money was just dependent on like if someone was in a good mood or felt like being nice or something. And it's messed up to think like, there's people who are, I don't know, like even if they're making a living or they're, trying to support themselves going through college, that like the only guarantee they have is like that initial $2.13. Everything else is a question.
Right. 1,000%.
I saw that on your website. Well, I saw like a little bit of it in like your description, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool.
It is interesting too, because like people will seek us out because we don't take tips, but there are also people who will come to us when I bring them up and everything, and they're like, okay, how do I tip you? I'm like, oh, we don't actually take tips because we feel it's the employer's responsibility to pay a livable wage, and they will like fight me on it. I've literally had customers throw money at me because they just feel like that's their responsibility.
Right. That's crazy that they want people to, source the money instead of the employee, like paying them like minimum wage. Like, yeah, that's wild.
More often than not, though, people are like, that's so cool that you don't take tips. And then they're the repeat customers. But
the Facebook post she was talking about, this guy posted a meme on this group saying that the reason your restaurants suck is because of tipping, or I don't remember, or because you don't like tipping. And my comment was like, oh, the restaurants that I love are actually still doing well, and I don't tip. And like, it started as kind of a joke. Like, I was talking about like Chipotle,
Right?
And they don't take tips. Well, at least I don't think they do. And I saw it was hundreds of comments this guy posted our business on the Facebook saying don't support these people and all this other stuff. And the mixed blessing in that was it drove our SEO up, our Google Analytics skyrocketed.
Right.
And our business, like, it was like a January, February thing, and we got so much traction, like our business like exploded like because of it.
Okay.
But so many people were going to our website. Our website hits at
it worked in our favor in the end. Yeah. But it was, a
lot of people were like, we're going to go to them and we're not going to tip.
We're like, great. We don't take tips.
Yeah, it's always something. No, it's good to have alternative thinking and like think on your own, think for yourself. Don't be like sheep. But if there was anyone who wanted to follow a similar path as yours, like as in catering or the food truck industry, and they're watching right now, what would you tell them?
I would say
I don't know what you're gonna say.
I was gonna say find your niche and stick to it. I would avoid being like the one-all catch-all. I'd be like, oh, we're gonna do burgers, fries, pizza, tacos. Like, find something you're good at, something that speaks to you, and tell that story through your food. And stick like if we do an event and somebody's like, oh, we really want calzones, it would take a lot of convincing for me to be like, all right.
Okay.
I think the one thing that gives us headway, particularly in northern Colorado, is and people find surprising when they don't look into us, is Isaiah is a professional, classically trained chef. So when it comes to food, I mean, the world is endless where people will reach out to us about weddings, to Isaiah's point, and think that we just do pizza. And it's like, oh, you can get this, we've done this. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is incredible, which is nice.
And you like she said, you are a classically trained chef, and you chose pizza. And I know the answer, but why is that for everyone else?
It's two reasons. The first, if you want to go with it, is the financial part. Pizza is the second most profitable food business out there by far. And then second is that pizza has a lot of versatility. I can easily translate any I can translate any style or cuisine to fit pizza. Mm-hmm. For example, like this week we have something called the Doro. I take an Ethiopian dish and I put it on pizza, and it's been our #1 seller since I've had it on.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
And before that, we had one called the Mad Mogi. We had a Somali stew and smoked lamb on it. And that one was killing too.
Oh man, smoked lamb. That's deep on pizza. That sounds great.
Yeah, I like to pride ourselves on like the creativity and the hyper-localism. Like, we have a pizza always called the Native Hill. Mm-hmm. And that one, we'll go to the farm stand, pick up food from the Native Hill farm, process it, and that becomes the pizza. So it'll change weekly.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That is really nice. Okay. What is your long-term goal with Project Pizza and, the nonprofit you guys have?
For me, the end game would be Food Lit Foundation really taking off and becoming a strong advocate for food literacy and children. So that would just be something like, ideally, it'd be like a whole massive building with a farm, a food processing place, a waste management place, composting. Yeah, so it all becomes like somebody can walk in the front door and walk out the back, and they understand how the food system goes. Where we would raise money for things that help support that cause, I would love to like oversee something like that while still being able to cook and teach and explore my passions. And Project Pizza, I imagine that being a vessel to help pay for something like that.
Okay. You guys watch those food documentaries? Like when you talk about food literacy, all I think about is Forks and Knives and Food Incorporated. You ever seen those?
Oh Lord, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch those in
They're
college.
like can't even finish them. They're just so
Yeah.
horrible.
It
I mean,
makes-
horrible in like
Yeah.
the food system way.
Right.
Yes.
It makes you not
you
want to
don't
buy
wanna watch 'cause
anything
it's so
processed.
bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it scares you. It makes me want
Or-
to start a farm or something.
Just animal treatment. Like I'm a pescatarian and have been for a very
I'm pescatarian
long
also.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we recently went to Italy for a month in October, and then on top of that we went to Iceland for a few days after. And I actually had a little bit of meat in Italy just because I know that they treat their animals well. And then
Right.
Iceland, I did have a lamb sausage, and it was like the best thing ever. But I also saw how they treat their lamb, which is substantially different. Yes.
I can like attest to that. Like I was in Germany for a short period of time, and like I was in like middle of nowhere Bavaria, and like all the food tasted fresher, like
Yeah.
better. Like I was like, man, I've never like had this back home.
Yeah.
That's my favorite region in Germany, Bavaria. Like the
Yeah.
food, the beer, everything. The people are nice.
Yeah. Fun fact: I was like sober for 8 years. So I didn't drink any like beer or anything like, but it was like cheaper than water, like they said.
Oh yeah.
And that was wild because
The vending
like,
machines, you can get
Yeah.
the beer too. Yeah.
don't you need water to make beer?
Yeah.
Like, how?
It's crucial.
Yeah. That was loud. Okay. I've been wondering though, like your favorite, if you were stranded on like a desert island or whatever, and there was this machine and it only created one type of pizza, like what pizza would you choose?
That's a tough one. I get heartburn pretty bad. So my first thought would be like a pepperoni pizza. But then I was like, man, I would have the worst heartburn. That's a tough one. I'd probably do something like olive oil base, fresh mozzarella, ham mushroom.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, no
Okay.
heartburn. Good on food.
You, Miss Colleen?
Oh, mine would be the classic, the bread sauce, basil, mozzarella.
Bread sauce, basil, mozzarella. That's a
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah.
Okay. I would probably choose like spinach and mushroom.
That's,
And it's like you can't go
my
wrong.
spinach and mushroom pizza is a top contender right now.
Yeah.
I'm called the fun guy.
Okay. And your most poetic and long-winded description, what is Project Pizza and what does it mean to you?
Project Pizza is a mobile concept that promotes good food from seed to consumption, where all ingredients are intentionally sourced, they make sense, and they don't compromise culinary integrity or culinary. Promote social responsibility, environmental quality, and economic feasibility.
Okay. You, Miss Colleen?
Oh, geez. I mean, Isaiah literally just said it all. Yeah.
And you guys have a online presence, and it also like details, where you guys will be next.
Yes.
Can you give us that information?
Oh, before that question, I did have one thing to back off of what Isaiah said.
Okay.
Is Project Pizza also is expanding the culinary mind for people? Like, I mean, I'm 50% of Project Pizza, and I had never had Ethiopian anything until a month ago when we went to a restaurant in Denver, and then just doing the research on the flavor profile, and then Isaiah made pizza that we had called the Mad Mogi, and that was a Somali stew on that pizza, and it was mind-blowing. And I was like, no one's gonna get this in Fort Collins, right? Because yeah, it's just the way it is, I guess. In Fort Collins, my confidence was a little bit low with people being risky enough to explore that. And they were getting it, and they're like, this is the best pizza I've ever had of all the pizzas you've ever made for Project Pizza. And I'm just like, okay, that's where it's at, is bringing that awareness. Like, there's other things besides pepperoni. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, it was our number one seller last year, but it's like, yes, good for you trying something new, which I also just discovered. I'm like, this is amazing, and you have to try it. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. What's you guys' Instagram handle? It is Project Pizza, correct?
Project Pizza CO.
CO, Colorado.
For Colorado. Yeah, there's another Project Pizza in like Connecticut or something. It's a brick and mortar. We're not related in any capacity. Okay. But they already had the original handle, so we have to add the CO.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. And the website is just Project Pizza. CO.com.
.org.
.org. I apologize. Yeah. It's a pretty nice website also. Sorry. I would like to thank you guys for coming and showing up. And this was pretty good. I read off the paper a lot because it was a lot of information. You guys had a lot of like stuff behind you, but yeah. But no, this was very insightful. And I'd like to thank you guys for being a pillar in the community with, the Food Lit Foundation and like educating the youth about food. Because like I said earlier, a lot of people, they just go with the flow. They just like, take what's handed to them. And you guys are, trying to spread education to the youth and honest about what they eat, which is, important. And honestly, like education also always should be paramount. Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank you guys for that. I believe that does it. You guys, if you have a dream or whatever, and you don't like where you guys are, these people are the perfect example. They were pretty like established and distinguished in like their current in their roles, and then like they decided to do what they wanted to do, and that about does it. Tune in next week. I'm Randall. You guys say who you are.
Oh, I'm Isaiah.
And I'm Colleen.
And you guys have a great day. Okay, I got 2 more after that. 3 more after that.
Oh, sounds good.
Does it really? Farthest from Mobile, they're kind of crazy up there. Something in the water.
Mm. The bugs are big. Huge.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.